What is constant study? What does it mean? It means to use your mind to learn and grow in the best and the most ultimate way possible in life. And we'll explain what that means. This topic will entail 5 different points that we're going to go through. It's called the 5 C's. Everything starts with C. Now, don't get confused. Some of the words may sound similar, but when we're going to define, as you remember last week, we spoke about defining things. When we're going to define each step, you'll see that it's different. It's not the same, and it's important to touch into everything. So let's start with, the first one is constant, consistent, continuous, cyclical, and comprehensive, the 5 C's. We're going to go through each one. So I'm going to start first with constant. Imagine that you're stuck in traffic, and I feel like in LA we have lots of traffic times. And a random driver in the car next to you rolls down the window, and you're both stuck in traffic, and they just throw at you like a dollar bill. Okay, that's weird, strange, but you're not saying anything. And then as the minutes go by, you see more dollar bills thrown at you. Pretty strange, right? Like, I think it's crazy. You've probably never seen that, and you'll most likely would never be in that situation that happens to you. How often we throw out the window our minutes? How often does that happen? How often would you say? Every day. Every day. By doing nothing or not much or not being focused or just daydreaming, scrolling down social media, whatever that is, not being very productive. What happens is we're killing time. We understand that time is one of the most valuable things that we have as a human being, as a living being in this world. And when we're not using it wisely, we're wasting it, wasting our time, wasting our potential. The time that we could have done something else, we just went out the window just like that. And we were talking about throwing out money. Our time is worth way more, obviously, dollar bills. We understand that, so we're going to talk about the importance of time. Okay, so that's the first idea here and what's constant to do with that. So if you woke up this morning, which you all did, and unfortunately some people don't get the chance to wake up in the morning, that means that God believed in you today to be productive, to do what you needed to do, and to give you a chance to have an amazing day. Now, don't get me wrong, some days are the worst days. It had to happen that way. That's a whole class on its own why things go wrong. But does that mean life is over? Does that mean everything is ruined? No. Tomorrow, please God, I'm going to get another chance. Every day is another day, another chance to start fresh, to start new, as much as we can. Okay? So according to Judaism and according to Reb Noach Weinberg, the teaching that he teaches us, we learn that truly living life means using our mind constantly. Not necessarily doing nothing, but constantly using our mind. Now, okay, before I ask that question, whatever it is that we're doing, reading, listening to the news, whatever, anything that we're doing, we need to make sure that we give it our full attention. We touched on it last week, 2 weeks ago, the last session. Everything that we're doing that's worth our time, we're going to make it worthwhile, and we're going to make it productive. And at some point, we need to decide to be willing to take the feeling, to take the pain of thinking all the time in order to gain the constant, getting our mind working all the time and being productive all the time. Now, a really important question would come up. Do you want to get? I'm right now advocating for your mind to be constantly working. What would you want to ask?
When do you pause?
Right. What about relaxing? pausing, recharging. What about that? But Judaism doesn't believe in that? So what would you like to say? Okay, before I even bring up what Judaism's point of view and what our sources say about relaxation, what would you say relaxing is? Share.
Not using your brain.
Okay, so you're saying not using my brain. Shabbat. Tell me more. You mean?
I guess on Shabbat you don't use your phone, you don't drive. Just
kind of like a disconnect.
Disconnecting and yeah.
Okay. Good. You're all getting somewhere. Say it again.
Doing something leisurely. Relaxing could be viewed for someone, it could be learning for someone if they find that enjoyable. It could just be napping, some people like that.
Okay, you're definitely getting somewhere. You mentioned doing things still,
Yeah,
but
doing things that are, I don't know if this is really thing like passively active.
okay. Yeah.
Self-care. Self-care, like, yeah, taking care of yourself in a way that boosts your energy.
I love that. Okay. Okay. Sorry?
Like meditation.
Okay.
If you're like intentional about your relaxation time, it's a way of like, using your mind to.
Okay, so you're kind of also touching on that. So according to Judaism, what is relaxing? What is recharging our batteries? Relaxation does not necessarily mean not using my mind or my brain. It really means I'm switching gears. That's all it means. Our mind is created in a way that it needs to work. You know, some people do like exercises of like memory exercises and Sudoku all the time, and like they keep busy, and you know what? Their brain, there's some very old people that are so sharper than young people. Why? Because they're constantly using their brain, channeling it to different things that they're interested in. So what we're talking about is, of course, relaxing is important. I didn't say not to relax. We need it. Our soul needs it. Our body needs it. But we just need to define what it means. How do we relax? How do we chill? So really, we understand that relaxation is basically changing gears, changing focus from one thing to the next. It should be purposeful and directed. I think someone here did say something, can't pick who said that, but maybe you did, that it should be it should be intentional. That was the word you used. Exactly. It does need to have a purpose and to be intentional. That means you have a goal by doing something. And so after you experience that, you can look back and say, I feel good. It actually worked. And now when we say changing gears, can you give me examples what that could mean?
Could be like what Belinda said, Shabbat. During the week, we're always focused on work and getting things done, and Shabbat is one time to relax, but also, disconnect from the world and get more spiritual.
So here is the thing. Shabbat, for example, the whole idea of Shabbat is not just disconnect. We call it disconnect to connect. There's always a next step. We don't just disconnect to do nothing. We are disconnecting from the mundane, for the world outside, to connect to ourselves, to connect to our families, to our communities, to our kids, our spouse, to everything that during the week we are very distracted. So there's always from and to. It's like that reminds me when we talk about Passover, the idea of freedom. We're not just obsessed with freedom. Let us free, want to be free. It's free from to. That's like a whole different discussion, but the idea is that there's always, okay, now what? If I'm free, but I'm not free to do something else, what am I doing with my freedom? It's not purposeful. It's not going to give me what I'm looking for. So here we're talking about changing gears. So Shabbat, connecting with family. You said leisurely, like maybe nature, traveling. It could be anything, but we don't need to think too big, meaning, we need a vacation. That doesn't mean I have to travel to Hawaii in order to recharge my batteries. I'm sure that would be nice. I've never been, but it's not necessarily something that I would say that's my only way to recharge. We look at even the smallest thing. A lot of the times, in psychology, it's recommended if, let's say, someone is stuck in a situation or they want to change, even their mood or the situation that they're in, they're recommended take a walk, go outside, push yourself out of your situation physically, get yourself out there. And I've even heard the idea of, have you looked at the sky today? How many of us actually look at the sky? If you do it, it's great. It's just another way to look at something vast and beautiful and something godly. It gives us perspectives. And then when we come in, we do have perspectives. And sometimes that is what we need. Sometimes we want the hike and the real disconnect in that sense, but connecting to nature. So you get what I'm saying. The idea is relaxing is important. That doesn't mean our mind doesn't work. That means our mind is working. It's just channeled to something else, focusing on something else. And when we're moving back to our original situation or topic or project or whatever, we are full of energy. Okay, so that's the first thing. Understanding that we want our mind to work constantly. Life is precious. Every minute is counted, and we don't want to kill time. And that just brings me, that wasn't my plan to mention it, but it reminds me this idea of, we say that as long as the flame is lit, we're able to fix. What does it mean, as long as the flame is lit? As long as we're alive, our soul is considered like the flame. We can fix, we can do, we can create. This world is for all our actions. The next world is to enjoy what we created in this world. And it says that, it's interesting because as human beings, we think that angels, for example, are on a higher level. But that's not the Jewish understanding. Angels, for example, are not on a higher level than a human being because angels are not able to create. They're like servants of God. They have to follow what their job or they created for something. But human beings are different. We have the ability to create and to destroy. We have free will. We have the almost unlimited ability to do and to not do, and to ruin it for ourselves and to fix it. So just the idea of comparing ourselves to angels, we're on a higher level. We can do way more. And I remember when we were in Oregon, before we lived here in LA, we moved here 7 years ago, we were at University of Oregon's campus. And I remember there was this, since we were pretty much the only Jewish thing there in the whole of I think 200 miles, it was just very deserted place, Jewishly, I would say. And there was this old man that was in the hospital, wasn't very connected, and the doctors didn't give him much time to live. And his son was looking, towards the end of days, he did want to meet a rabbi. So they did some research and they got to Rabbi Jack and they asked him, are you able to come to the hospital to meet with our father? He really needs someone. This is last days. So he went and he sat with the family and with the old man. And the old man was already not so much there anymore. And so the sons were like, wow, Rabbi, he has a pair of tefillin and talit or tzitzit, whatever, that he has with him. He's never really used it. Maybe we should put it on him, when we bury him, or give him some kind of a little more merits, to put it this way. And it was kind of hard to explain to them, but the idea was, and they were like, wow, this is fascinating, that Rabbi Jack was telling them, look, when we, when he would move on to the next world, we don't bury anyone with anything besides just the body and the cloth. Everything else in this world, all the mitzvahs and everything we do is just for this world. We can't take with us anything physical to the next world. That's not going to do the mitzvah. Obviously, at the time, they did to heal him in his name and everything. He was making sure that the family is feeling united and felt like they did something. But the idea is, it was such a powerful message. Because when he told that to me, I'm like, wow, that's a lesson just as is, that as long as we're here just we need to make sure that we are making the most out of every minute of our life. We don't know what's going to be. And we obviously, I'm not saying like in a depressing way that we have to be scared what's going to be tomorrow, but more of motivated. It's supposed to motivate us to go, 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 do. I don't have time to waste. I don't have time to get stuck in these toxic situations or, you know, bad stuff. I need to move on. I need to get going. I need to invest in myself. That's pretty much what this idea is giving us. So that's the first one, constant. All the time. Now, consistent. Now we're going to go to the second thing. Consistency. What do you want to tell me about consistency? What do you know about consistency? Anything.
Helps you reach goals.
Beautiful.
Regularly.
Right. That's what consistency is. By the way, when you said like it helps you reach goals, how is that?
Like in a sense where it's like if you have baby steps, but it is throughout a long period of time, you can reach that goal rather than just trying to bite off more than you can chew.
Right. Beautiful. I don't need to give a class tonight, listen. Anyone else want to add anything about consistency?
That is the only way that you can actually get to where you want. You can't just sit, do it once or twice, or you just always have to do it. It has to be a lifestyle. Like working out, if you want to be healthy, you have to work out.
And is it easy?
It's not.
No.
Not at all. That's
No.
the hardest part. Yeah, discipline. Yeah, it's the hardest, and that's the thing that works.
Amazing.
Commitment.
You all did. Yes, you all said like pretty much everything here. I'll read it to you. Consistency is a key for any kind of growth. We're talking spiritual growth, Torah learning, growth in every area of life, relationship, career, anything. Consistency is a key. Just like children, they need structure in order to strive. Even though they might scream and shout and not like their homework time and bedtime, and trust me, I deal with that. But we still keep to structure because that's the only way they actually are happy in the long run and actually in the deeper sense of it, and helps them grow and advance themselves in this world. And we understand that this idea of structure, the idea of structure is helping us with our own inner inclination. What we understand, we were speaking last week about the free will and the idea that, you know, we have fights within us. Good, bad, I don't want to do it, I do want to do it, I want to do what I feel like versus I need to do what I need to do. I feel like sleeping in, but I need to move on and get up and do things, right? And so we're told, according to Jewish wisdom, that the only way to deal with our evil inclination is when we give it structure, when we give it boundaries. When we don't do that, you're right. So we make a decision to go to the gym every day, every 2 days, whatever, and then it just doesn't happen. Why? Not because we don't want. What are the reasons why it wouldn't continue after a while?
I'm literally going through that myself.
Right. So why is?
Months ago and I went once. Like,
Why do you think is that?
well, it's what you said. What the body wants. I'm at work till like 7:30. I only have 2-3 hours before I have to go to sleep, and it's like just annoying to have to go through another thing I have to do and put effort into it, and it's just like I'd rather not. But like, no.
Right. 100%. This is honest opinion. It's not even just me saying.
See, like a schedule that you set yourself, you would follow through it, and if it's a structure, like we just spoke about it, it's so funny. We just said how I just want to have a stable income and structure and be able to like do this and that, and that's like, and just be happy and be able to support myself. That's what we want, and go to the gym and
Compartmentalize.
yeah, and you have to have, if you have consistency and you'll be able to discipline yourself. And if you have a goal, you'll be able to like reach that goal only if you're consistent and yeah.
Incredible. It's pretty much what we're going to be saying. You know, the whole idea is that we need structure in order to strive. And that's the way for us to work with our inner inclinations. It needs structure in order to allow us to do what we need to do in this world, not just what our body wants, but to fight that. And the only way to do that is with that structure. which again, it's annoying, it's not fun sometimes, but when you grind it and you make it a habit, eventually it becomes a thing. I know I'll give you examples in a second. Now, how do we exercise consistency? It sounds pretty simple, but applying it obviously takes a lot of internal work, is we choose a goal, and I'll give examples, and you can also give examples. And the next thing you do is you need to sit down and commit to yourself. You need to show up for yourself. It's not for anyone else. Something on a daily basis or weekly basis, depending on your goal, okay? We're not going to take too much at the beginning because then you're not going to end up doing it. Small steps. Daily or weekly activities that will help you reach the goal. And what's very important is that those things need to be same day, same time, same location, as much as possible. Okay, that's a key. Because what it does, it basically gets you into some kind of a system, a routine. It's inbuilt in your system, let's say, and people tell me that all the time. I know Tuesdays is my thing. I come to Taco Tuesday. It's on my schedule. I don't have to look for, you know, they say at the beginning, I used to have like, oh, I have this on a Tuesday, and I have that class, and I have that event. But eventually, they made it such a routine for themselves, it's not even a question. I know I'm coming every Tuesday, and then other things just somehow work out with my schedule, and I'm not missing out on anything. And I'm like, that's a great example of discipline and making something consistent. It depends what that person's goal was or is, and they're happily reaching their goal and feeling good with themselves. And so, same idea, you know, a lot of people that I meet tell me, you know, I want to get involved. The first thing that when people move to LA and they tell me, or even before they move here and they meet with me, it's like, how do I get involved? I want to get to meet people. I want to meet real friends. I want to be in a good environment, maybe potentially meet someone. What is it that I could do? There's so much that I need to do. Like, and then some people just go backwards, don't do anything. It's a lot. It's intimidating. There are lots going on up there. And what I usually connect is to these 5 C's. And I say, listen, you have to set yourself a goal. What is your goal? Your goal, based on what you're saying, is you need to get involved. You want to meet friends, whatever that is. Now, how do we get to that goal? We need to set up a specific day, time, chunk of time, whatever it is in your week. So I said at the beginning, don't say, we're not saying daily, because people have work, they need to eat, they need to work out. Let's say give it like once a week for the beginning. Pick a class, an event, something that you can go that's meaningful. It's not just social. It's going to give you the drive to continue going because you're getting more out of it. Even, let's say, if you didn't connect with every single person that came that night, but you know you're doing it for yourself, and you make it a routine. As soon as you make that a routine, and it's not based on did I like that person that spoke to me, or I connected to that guy or to that girl, it becomes a habit. And I've seen it every time. I see it with new people that come in. They become a part of the community. They reach, there's no end goal. I mean, I could say, okay, end goal, if their goal was to meet someone, many do, and many still don't, you know, but they still there for the community aspect, for the family aspect, whatever it is, the goal, the consistency is the only way to get you to get there. And that's just a small example where it's same day, same time. Oh, I know every Tuesday I do that. I know every Wednesday I do that. And then you learn to adapt your schedule to that. So I would like if you can give me 1 or 2 examples of consistency and how consistency helped you in any area of life. Yeah.
This is the first year where I'm not working 3 12-hour shifts alternating between night shift and day
Oh, that's
shift.
amazing.
9 to 5:30.
Oh, that's nice. That's actually a nice,
It's great.
you know, like a good normal routine
Yeah, it's like
for a nurse, I guess. Yeah.
Now I'm like getting up before work.
Yeah.
I get to go work out. Like 7 a.m. I'm always up working out, and then go to work, and then now I have more time to after work to
do
take
other
myself,
stuff,
to do
yeah.
other things. And the consistency and structure is great.
Amazing. That's a great example. Anyone else want to give an example?
You said
how structure has helped us.
Yes. Yeah. Structure is one of the things that can help a human being deal with their own inner inclination to make sure that they're moving forward, they're focused on their goal, and they're not going to be taken away by, doesn't work out today, this came up, the fires, that life will give you all types of excuses why you shouldn't be doing what you need to be doing or what you really want to be doing.
Yeah.
But our job is to, okay, at some point I got to take my life, I got to take control. And the only way is when I put structure. And that's part of consistency.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
I have one.
Sure. I mean, I'm happy if you ask, and then I'll move forward.
I would say like a non-negotiable for a really long time for me now has been exercise and also skincare. So because I've been like consistent with both, I have a body that I'm proud of, and thank God I've been able to like have maintenance on it, you know, like by working out consistently, and now thank God, knock on wood, everything's I know that's not a Jewish thing, by the way, but we do it.
Yeah, it's not.
Christians do it.
It's actually a Christian thing,
I
but
know.
never mind.
Christians do it. Sorry. Because of my consistency, like everything's like lifted, and like I'm really proud and happy about that. And obviously I'm not like exactly where I want to be. I have things that I want to work on, and I have more work to do. But because of
Absolutely.
that, I have a body that I'm proud of, and like I would say like my appearance overall, and like skincare, like, you know, thank God, like I really take care of my skin. That's also a non-negotiable. Like I don't go to sleep with makeup on, and so I really try to keep everything.
To take care of yourself. And
Yeah, and I'm really glad that I'm able to do that, at least in those departments, if not in others. I need to work in others. Like,
well, listen, we can't do everything at once. So
Yeah.
that's, by the way, Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, tells us, okay, great, you're good at that, but what about everything else? That's a very wrong, it's like, be quiet. You know, like we're working and we're making progress, and as long as we keep to our goals and we're not like starting something and then stopping, because it's a pattern.
Yeah.
And if we do it, not a problem. We fail, we get up, we fail, we get up, we need direction then. Yeah.
I just have to get used to working. Some of my friends know I don't like to work.
Well.
I don't want to work, like ever. That's something I need to.
We're gonna mention something about work, so maybe you like that. Okay. Well, I'll yeah. Ashley, yeah.
I was gonna ask you that kind of ties into what you both said, like the work thing and the consistent thing and the structure thing. Whenever it comes to like what I was saying, let's say about the gym and about work and stuff, if you have, let's say, like you work till late and then you only have like 2-3 hours and you kind of want structure, but you also, let's say, you want to put in time for, let's say, social life or working out or just like resting, like how do you keep a structure when you're gonna have to like try to choose between which one, because you have limited amount of time. So like let's say my thing was to go to the gym Tuesday, Thursday, but then like something comes up like as a birthday or something, or I just want to see a friend I haven't seen, and then it becomes like not so structured anymore, and every day you try to schedule until it becomes like, you know what I mean?
Yes. And here's the thing. I mean, we said life will give you all types of reasons why you can't stick to your plan. But at the end of the day, like I said, we need to be in charge. So what I usually do when I meet with someone and they say, okay, you know what, I want to work on my goals. I want to set it up. I want to set time management. I want a good schedule for the week that I can actually do. And I say, you know what, let's start with, you're not going to be able to do everything you want. Let's start small. So you said, you know, there's quite a few things that are important for you, but you're going to have to pick at least one thing. Not all three for now, because it does sound like your schedule is kind of crazy, and how do we do it? We're human beings, so we need to sleep. I hope you sleep enough. That's very important. We need to have time to eat, and hopefully healthy food. So that's number 2. And if that takes time to prepare, maybe we need to wake up earlier, maybe whatever that adjustment needs. And as a human being, some are more social, some are less, but we need it for our mental health. We need community, we need people. And so if the decision is, I would say, if more important, let's say for you working out. So you plug it into your schedule, and no matter what, rain or shine, you're gonna do it. That's the thing. So don't do Tuesday and Thursday, do one of them. Start with that. Once you know you did it, and even all your friends will know, Thursday, between that and that, you're not available. Unless like there's an emergency. That's what's called showing up for yourself. Birthday, okay, so you'll come later, you'll have to make adjustments to make that work. Now, I'm not saying we're gonna take it like so extreme, like within the boundaries, you would be smart enough to decide when you actually, for this week, I'm actually gonna change it to a Tuesday because there is a big thing on Thursday that I wanna make. But you start with small, and we were gonna talk about it in one of the other ones, the idea of rain or shine, that's my commitment and I'm doing it. And that's the only way to stick to something. Otherwise, like I said, life will give you all types of reasons not to. I hope I answered your question. Yeah. Well, let's start from this.
This can probably be a full class within itself, but I would consider one of my greater strengths specifically discipline and structure. And so, what would your advice be if you have the opposite issue where it's it can be to your detriment, where it's you can't not go according to your plan?
Meaning, if your plan, elaborate more. Meaning, if your plan doesn't work out, or
no, let's say you take a day off or something,
okay,
and it's not being hard on yourself for that, because it's I'm pretty structured, and I, for the most part, always go with my schedule.
Right. So when you say you take a day off, what would you feel?
Let's say I not take a day off. I need to take a day off, but I decide not to because I'm
because
I want to be.
You're too committed to other things. Yeah. So here is the thing. So there's two extremes, right? There's one that I can't commit to myself or whatever, and one is too committed, but it might not even be to yourself. It could be to your job, to other commitments that you have. But it doesn't mean that you're putting yourself first, because you're going to give yourself a hard time. Yeah. So that one would need, it's a whole separate thing that I can talk to you about it, but it's a separate type of work that you can work on yourself and reassuring yourself that sometimes, because I'm a little like that, so I can get it. I'm very structured. I love routine. Sometimes when I have time off, I'm okay, I'm getting at the beginning, it's so what is there to do? I don't feel fulfilled. Yeah. I don't feel fulfilled, and I'm like that, but sometimes I'm chill out, you gotta learn how to no, it's okay, you don't do something today. The world still will exist, and tomorrow is a new day, and we can be productive tomorrow. But I could totally relate to it. I can talk to you after and give you some tips. Yeah. I think, Sophia, you wanted to say something?
My question was similar about being too all or nothing, and then you just going from one extreme to the other. I'm very all or nothing, so I just need
So that definitely also as we mentioned even last week, the idea of balance is one of the most important things that we can have in Judaism in general. Judaism, for example, does it say that drinking alcohol is not okay? No. Moderation. Exactly. That's the answer. It's balance, moderation. We can abuse something or use it for our benefit, And so that's also personal work. There's certain things that you can do to get to a point where you're it's okay. It doesn't have to be all perfect. I take one step. You make plans. I think someone like you does need to have plans of maybe if you want to get to something, you can't do it right away. I don't think it's also healthy. Big extreme jumps don't last from what we see. Stability, it's not stable. And so the goal is, again, being consistent, but smaller steps, going backwards in order to go forward and for longer term. So again, there's no magical thing let's click it and then you'll be everything is fine, I'm balanced. It's work. Everything that we're talking about in our classes will require time, patience, and work. So I hope I somewhat answered your question, and we can definitely work on some things when we meet.
Yeah.
Absolutely, just remind me. Yeah.
once you get into the structure of being structured, then kind of relaxing becomes weird to you, right?
Yeah.
Because it becomes the habit that you form. So then when you're trying to relax, you're like, I need to do something because that's
Yeah.
how you've now been rewired for the constant and the consistent.
Right. But that's also work to learn how to, okay, I need to relax and what is relaxing could be for me now in a way that is not pressurizing, in a way that I really feel recharged. You know?
Also, like, put
Yeah.
relaxing into your routine, like if it's like a specific amount of time
Yeah.
or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. I think you can plug it in. It's all about looking at your week. Some people, okay, so there's different types of people. I can talk about myself and my husband, okay, if you want to hear some real life, examples. I'm a very much like structured. I like to plan the whole week ahead. For my husband, it's like stressful. Oh, you're talking to me about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't even know what's tomorrow. It's like, and it's not like that he doesn't know what's tomorrow, but it's like the idea of like, oh, I need to chill right now. Like, why are we thinking of tomorrow?
Overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. So we gotta learn how to bridge gaps and how to work with each other. We're different. So I know I'm like that in a sense of like, just fire. I need to do things all the time, but does that mean everyone else around me should be too? Or it should bother me that they don't do enough, And so it's all about balance and a lot of work and patience. I think patience is like the big word here. And talking to ourselves and reassuring ourselves that if we know we're doing the right thing and we know we're taking a break when we need to and it's purposeful and like, I need it I do that a lot nowadays. It's like, oh, I used to not want to cancel Shabbat and not host Shabbat. I felt like, no, that's so wrong. I can't do that. No one told me it's wrong. It's just me. But then happened to be that I was sick and I'm like, okay, I learned my limit. No hosting Shabbat this week. Did I feel a bit guilty? Probably. But then I learned to talk to myself and enjoy from it after, or taking a break when my kids were off school and not feeling like I'm wasting my time. No, I'm taking a break to do something else. So it does give me purpose, just in a different way. I have to explain that to myself, So yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. Let's continue to the next, and then I can always, answer questions at the end. I would like to finish all the 5. So far we said constant, right? We said that our mind should constantly be working, not conflicting with the idea of relaxation. There is a way to relax. Number 2, consistent. Consistency is a key. Keeping structures, routines, help us reach our goals. And number 3, continuous. Okay, so whenever we want to pursue a specific goal in our life, any area, strive to do it without interruptions. The idea of continuous is very, very important. And I'll give you an example. Before the example, there's a study that shows that if a person studies for 1 hour straight, no interruptions, quality of the studying way better than 2 or 3 hours studying with interruptions. Why is that? They technically spend more time studying. Maybe they went through more material. What would you say? Why is the 1 hour solid focus is better?
You're building on each thing, and then with the break, there's like a physical break where it's like,
Disconnect.
yeah.
Right.
It's time for you to forget it and
Right.
You have to relearn.
get occupied by other things.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like optimal utilization of attention span, I would say.
Right. Yes, that's also, yeah.
That I learned that the hard way in college. I'll say.
Yeah.
I spent like all day at the library, and one of my best friends from nursing school would study for 2 hours. I would get the C on the test. They would get the A. I was like, what the heck? And they were like, yeah, I only study until like I can't focus anymore and I'm done. And I just do that every day. And I was like, maybe I'll try that. And then it worked.
Wow.
I think
Look at that.
Yeah, if you take a break, it's harder to get back into it.
That is it. That is it.
Of a break, you're like, I don't want it.
Here we go. So why is that? Interruptions break our train of thought, and it limits our ability to retain information. So it's simple. I try to focus. The way our brain works in our mind, things are connecting. Boom, interruption, my phone, email, someone called, whatever, I don't know, it's too hot, the AC, I need a drink, anything. I got interrupted, going to take care of it, coming back, okay, where was I? It happens to me even in the middle of a class. So where was I? And sometimes, by the way, speakers, for example, many times they don't want to take questions. What it does, one question or two or three that are off the topic of the class can take their train of thought somewhere else. It's like, okay, now I need to rethink, where was I? So I learned that because when I prepare my classes, sometimes I put a place for like, give example, ask the group. And sometimes I'm like, no, I need to continue. And then after, it's like, oh, hold on a second, let me finish. So we can do, we can so I can be more productive. So the idea is 1 hour, no interruptions is better than 2 hours with interruptions. Interruptions break our train of thought and limit our ability to retain information. Think about it like a kettle. You want to boil water. If you start boiling, you turn it on, the water's starting to bubble, you take it off for a second. Not a second, maybe a few seconds. Then you put it back on. Then you take it off. Then you put it back on. How long would it take the kettle to boil? It won't boil. It actually won't boil. It needs to be continuously on heat in order to reach a certain heat, and then the water will boil. That's how our brain works. If I continuously, I'm not focusing and continuously I'm breaking it, it's just very hard. There's so much distraction, especially in our day and age, our generation. The social media, the tech, the screens, there is so much of that. People also have a hard time focusing because that's also kind of like I would say a result of many things that we have around us. But without getting into that, the idea of the kettle, if I'm not gonna continuously put it on and let it boil, it just won't boil. Focusing and concentration is hard for many, especially in our generation. So much distraction, we said that, but it is worth it. If we do make the effort to focus on something, and we'll talk about how we can do that, even if someone has a very short attention span, people have taken these exercises, have done it, and completely transformed themselves from being a kid or an adult that can't focus for 20 minutes straight to learning Torah. When I say learning Torah, it's one of the hardest things for people to do because it entails just looking at books and focusing on the words. Sometimes you don't even understand the language and try to extract something from within. A lot of people just drop because it's too hard. It's not interesting. They can't keep up with that. But it says, and we will see how when it get to a point where it's like a muscle that you work on. So you start with, let's say, 20 minutes. Now, it's not just learning Torah. It could be anything else, anything you want to focus on. Studies, a project, a job, reading something, finishing an assignment, whatever that is. Set aside a certain time when you block everything else, again, being continuous, but also completely exclusive for that time, not allowing any interruptions, phone away, everything in the way. As long as there's no emergency, everyone knows they can't reach you right now, and you focus. You take 20 minutes. And then, after a week or two, you can start working on 25 minutes. They say you can even start less. If someone has a problem with 20 minutes, you could do 10 minutes. The more you train your brain, your mind, to focus on one topic for a certain amount of time and no interruptions, that proven that it can grow to a point where you can focus on something for a few hours. And maybe like before that, you could never do that. And so that's what continuous does. It allows our brain, our mind to focus on something, let all the things connect, and make sure that I'm reaching something. I'm actually getting to what I wanted to learn, or what I wanted to extract from that, or finishing an assignment and not being so, bummed that I didn't make it, and all my tests are horrible because I can't figure it out. And like you said, Natalie, that it's beautiful that you picked on that, and you figured that out. It's an amazing thing. It's hard, but once you do, and I know I tell that to my kids all the time, and they're like, they have studies or things that they want to do. I'm very into no phone in the room. You close your bedroom. Anything you want, tell me now. I'll bring you now. No interruptions. Pick 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on the age of the kid. And I see that once you train someone to do that, they just do it on their own. I don't need to say anything. They can sit in their room, my 14-year-old, 6 hours straight. I don't hear her. I'm like, what are you doing? I was actually getting worried once. No, she's studying. I'm like, how can you do that? I don't know. Nowadays, I can't do that. I need to practice that. But it's amazing. So continuous. People, we said that people who couldn't focus more than 20 minutes can now do a few hours. We said learning Torah is extremely hard, and that's something that we learned from the idea of learning Torah, the idea of taking a small amount of time, fully focused, continuous, no interruptions, and then increasing that will help us reach, bigger chunks of time. Okay, so that's number 3, continuous. Number 4, we're almost done. Number 4, cyclical, repetition and review. So the first time you're reading something, you're learning something, you're doing research about something, you're looking something up, you're just basically preparing the ground. You're not actually learning anything. That's what we believe. You have not even planted the seed yet. First read is just preparing the ground. The real understanding and insight come only after you review and repeat that thing that you're reading. Every time you review something, you dig deeper and deeper, and you gain greater clarity about the matter that you're reading or something that you're working on. Many times, also, we have great ideas, and that's something I can say. I definitely experienced that. Great ideas, great insights that I have through learning or listening or getting inspired. People have that all the time. But then the next day, I actually forget, and I'm like, oh, yesterday I had that really good idea, or I wanted to share something, and I didn't make it to write it down, and I really wanted to share it, let's say, with you, but I forgot. And so what he tells us that if we have things like that happening to us, and that's normal, there is a way to capture it, actually, without writing it. There is a way to capture something in your brain and make sure it stays there. So what he tells us, the way to capture anything that you have in our brain, it comes through, a thought, an idea, whatever it is when we review it and repeat it. So have you heard of some people that say, oh, you don't need an alarm clock if the night before you repeat 10, 20, 30 times, I need to wake up at a certain time, and that works for them? Have you ever heard of this? So it's something that when you say multiple times, you repeat, and I'll give you examples, you'll understand even more what I'm saying. It sinks in. It sinks into your brain, into your body. It becomes a part of your mind. So when you dig in the next day, it's not going to be hard for you to remember, oh, yeah, I said it a few times. I didn't want to forget. It's I also had, by the way, we have a lot of interesting Shabbat guests over the years. And I think one year we had this musician. He kept Shabbat, but he had this epiphany. I don't know, in the middle of the meal, he's like, wow, I got it. And everyone looked at him like, what's happening? And he said, he had a few chords in his head, he was trying to have some, melody or something, and he doesn't want to forget it because it's Shabbat. He's not going to be able to remember it. So what he did, he had to step out, repeat the chords. He said it I don't know how many times. And after Shabbat, he told us he wrote it down. He actually didn't lose that song. That he was like, oh my gosh, that was such a good one. So the idea of when we read something, when we have a thought, something we want to remember, repeat, repeat, repeat. It's going to sink in, and you're not going to lose it. You're actually going to remember it. We'll give example. You probably have heard of the idea of positive affirmations, positive words. What it is, saying to yourself on a daily basis, that's repetition. What does it do?
It ingrains it in you.
Exactly. You say, even if you don't believe it, never mind something that you believe in. Even if you don't believe that I'm beautiful, I'm attractive, I'm worth it, of course you should believe it. But even if someone doesn't believe in themselves, that's one of the exercises that we should do in order to make sure that it says that when we say something, like we said before, it sinks inside, it becomes a part of us. So maybe I didn't believe in it a few months ago, but now I do believe in it. It's subconscious that I'm also changing my approach to myself, to the way I view myself. And you know what? Magic happens. People also view you differently, which is, I've seen it, it's mind-blowing. I know we met many people in our lives, but there was one particular guy that sticks out, because we used to do the dating series. And I remember we were very close with him, and he always told me, like, he was a really nice, cool, attractive guy. I don't know what he's on about, but he's like, I'm never gonna find what I'm looking for. I'm never gonna find that girl. And I'm like, I literally don't understand what you're saying. Why on earth would you say that? Why are you not believing that you're not gonna find, whatever, he had different excuses why he didn't believe he would. And we call it like the cynical type in dating. And I said, you know what? Honestly, I can sign on it that as long as you talk that way, you're probably not gonna find anyone. You are going to have to change your approach to yourself. Because subconsciously, maybe that's also what girls get from you. It's not the energy that you should be giving, and you're not even realizing that that's what you're doing. And the guy definitely worked a lot. It took a few years, it's not like a one-day thing. Thank God he's married already, and he did find someone. And I remember after, when they got married and we had a whole discussion together with her, we were laughing because he was like, you remember I told you I'm never gonna find someone? And like, obviously she's everything I wanted. And I'm like, yeah, you also remember what I told you. You're gonna have to work and believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, lie to yourself until you would believe it, that it's gonna happen. Because it does have another idea also. Wow, there's a lot that I have in my head that I wanna put out. Another idea that, the idea of manifesting, right? So even if it's not happening yet, but you want something to happen, you acting as if it is happening, you're talking about it. We call it plugging into the good energies, plugging into the blessings, becoming the vessels to the blessings that Hashem wants to give me, and eventually I'm worthy of it. I get it. I'm actually getting it. Soul Kabbalah, it was actually this past Tuesday, Rabbi Jack was talking about the vessel and the idea. So here you got it right now.
I took Kabbalah, luckily.
Yeah.
1 and 2 at the Kabbalah Center.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these ideas. I mean, everything is Judaism. It's all coming together. And really, it's a way for us to live the best life that we can, learn how to deal with ourselves and how to deal with everything around us. In the workplace, I actually searched on Google about the idea of constant review that is essential. I wanted to see what Google has to say. So it said this: constant review. Here, let me just. Yeah. Constant review is considered essential for retention as it allows for regular feedback, help employees understand their performance, expectations, and provides opportunities for timely adjustments and development, ultimately leading to increased employee satisfaction and reduced turnover rates. So these things also work in the workplace, meaning it's in every area of life, the idea of, the review, the repetition, something doesn't work, going backwards, zooming out, trying to see what it is, positive affirmations, reviewing it to yourself, repeating to yourself certain things, changes everything. Okay, so that was number 4, cyclical repetition and review, which is very important. The number 5, which is the last one, comprehensive. Be a student of life. What does that mean? The Rambam says, make your work secondary, that ties into what we spoke before, and your Torah study a fixed matter. When we say Torah study, it also refers to personal growth, investing in yourself, everything that's to do with your soul, with your mental health. Your profession does not define your essence, does not define who you are. It is a way for you to make a living, to live a comfortable life, but does not define you. Investing in your personal growth, feeding your soul, is incredibly important, and if not more important than anything else we have. We are the students of life. We're truth seekers and learners. We may spend most of our day working and investing in our career and other people and our patients, but we can't let our routine, our job, ourselves confuse our self-definition, who we are. That does not define us. What is it that defines us?
Our values.
Okay.
And like our actions, how we act in the world.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Anything else? Yes. Aspirations. Anything from this side?
Is there that like quote about people just remember how you like made them feel, like if you're a good person? I forget what that quote is.
Oh yeah, I love this quote actually.
Oh yeah, people
I always,
say them.
yeah. People don't always remember what you teach them, what you tell, like, they remember what you make them feel. That feel is something that, sometimes because like the first impression, or it's something that people remember. The idea is you were all right, that does not define us. What defines us is what we learn, we achieve, we conquer, we work on ourselves. All these things that we do, that's what defines a person. It defines who we are. איזהו חכם הרואה הלומד מכל אדם? Who is a wise person? The one who learns from everyone. Be a student of life. Be willing, the one that's smart and that's wise, willing to learn from everyone. If someone says, I know this already, what? I'm going to learn from that person? Like, I'm more successful. They're younger than me. They just started. It's irrelevant. In life, I can learn from my kids. Oh, I've learned a lot of things from my kids. And I think it's so important. And I learn a lot from everyone I meet. Every one-on-one I have, I'm like, wow, I'm so impressed with this person. Like how she's dealing with this. I don't know if I would be able to do that. It's like amazing, her attention to other people or dealing with difficult situations. These things are what also the impression that you leave on people, but also what defines you and make you this unique, special person. We look into our values and things that are important for us. We learn the definitions, we dive deep to gain more clarity, and that way we become successful. You use the wisdom of our Torah, the wisdom of Judaism, to make sure that we live life to the fullest. Live life and maximize our potential. Do what we're here to do in this world. And I think I mentioned that last week, not completely relatable to this, but the idea is that wherever we're stuck in life, the area that you struggle the most, that is where your purpose is. That is where the work that needs to be taken place to build you. And that's something that we focus a lot when it comes to personal growth and working on oneself and becoming better. And you know what? When it comes to dating, and that's something that we say all the time, dating is a journey to yourself. It's a journey to discover who you are, what your values are, what bothers you, what doesn't, how you react to certain situations. And another point I would mention, and I think girls would like that, I don't think that, some people say, of course I have to date in order to learn about myself. And I'm like, you're absolutely wrong. You cannot date other people and hurt other people on the way to learn about yourself. That is so selfish. It's time to make an effort and dive deep into yourself. Try to fix your own problems. We all need to work on ourselves. We all are not perfect. And when people especially when coming into dating, they don't even know who they are. They don't know what their values are. And they're like, I can't find someone. Or they hurt a lot of people on the way. And then they come and say, oh, but that's how I learn about myself. Like, no. Well, Judaism says you have to first learn about yourself, invest in yourself, and then when you feel like you've done some work, you can go out there, meet other people, respectfully you can decide. And you know what, trust me, you don't really need to be dating someone to find out about yourself. That's just another way of deciding not to work on yourself and like learn through other people. But we can also, we have Jewish learning, we have focusing on oneself and personal growth to learn about ourselves, to know how we work, and then we would realize what is it that bothers us, what is it that we need to work on, what is it that we need in a guy, what's important for me, how do I want to raise my kids, all these questions is done independently. And when people are more in touch with that part of themselves, I've seen that they have much easier time being out there. That does not mean that everyone finds whoever they need to find right away. Hashem has his plans for every person, at what point they're supposed to find the right person. And until then, they just need to invest to make sure that they become the best that they can. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I managed to go through everything. That was awesome.